Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Councilmember Leach is absent tonight. Approval of the agenda. We have two additions. 7K, approve resolution 2021-81, approving the plans for the South Sauk Center Industrial Park, and approve resolution 2021-82, authorizing execution of easement. Is there any additions or changes to the agenda? Council? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with those changes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Shalin. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 4 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the August 4th regular meeting. You all received them in your packet. Is there any changes, corrections, or clarification needed on those minutes? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the August 4th regular meeting?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joe. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. 4 in favor, none against. We do have 2 public hearings right after, but for right now, a public open forum. Is there anyone that wants to speak to the council about anything other than what the public hearings are for? Is there anyone that wants to speak to the council? Call a third time. Is there anyone that wants to speak to the council? Okay, our public open forum is closed. Public hearings, we'll recess the regular meeting and enter into our public hearing procedure. We have 2 public hearings before us this evening regarding the vacation of excess right-of-way of Getty Street and 2022 street improvement project. It is our intention that everyone has the opportunity to be heard. If you wish to speak, please sign in on the sign-up sheet at the back of the room. The procedure is as follows: presentation by staff, followed by questions of staff, then public input. Please raise your hand when recognized by the mayor. Approach the podium and state your name and the address for the record. State your comments and position. No one will be allowed to speak a second time until everyone has had a chance to be heard. Then first, we will hear questions for clarification. Second, public in favor. Third, public speaking against. After everyone who wishes to speak has had the opportunity to be heard, the hearing will be closed. After closure of the public hearing, the council will deliberate and take action as appropriate. Members of the audience do not participate in the council's discussion unless a majority of the council concedes to hear additional information or questions. Vicki?
Okay, so this public hearing tonight has to do with Trunk Highway 71 prior highway vacation. Trunk Highway 71, prior to the construction of I-94, crossed what is now the freeway where Getty Street is currently located. After the relocation of Trunk Highway 71 to its current location, the state of Minnesota turned back its old right-of-way to the city. This right-of-way included various widths of property. Over time, the excess right-of-way outside the 33 feet from the section line that was retained by the city was vacated to neighboring properties, but no vacation of property outside this 33 feet was vacated to what is now the Gopher Prairie Motel. The city, in an effort to finalize vacating this last piece of turned back property, called for a public hearing to be held tonight. The only property owners affected by this vacation is the owners of the Gopher Prairie. And you can see on the inset that I have in your packet, you can see that little bump out in what's that dark outlined area. The dark outlined area is the turn back area, and that little bump out is the last piece of right-of-way that has not been vacated to the adjacent property owner.
Okay. Questions from the council? Everyone knows where this is?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess then we'll move on. Is there anyone here in the audience that wants to speak on the vacation of the right-of-way? Is there anyone here that wants to speak on the vacation of the Getty Street right-of-way? Call a third time. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on the vacation of Getty Street right-of-way? Okay, thank you. We will now move on to the second public hearing, the 2022 street improvement project. Chuck?
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. Public, my name is Chuck Bozer. I'm a Stantec. We're the engineering firm for the city. I'll just be running through a short presentation, five minutes or so. Brief description of the project, what we're doing, what we're proposing, and then we'll run through some of the costs and the assessments. The proposed project locations you see in blue is the street reclamation areas that consists of Park Road and Hickman Drive on the side streets. The areas in red are the full reconstruct proposed projects, and solid and dash red. The full reconstruct consists of all pipe utility replacements, street replacement, sidewalk replacement. The area in blue, the street reclamation, consists of grinding up the bituminous and repaving it, and spot curb replacement. The existing conditions and the goals realized with the reclamation project, the street bituminous in that area, it's basically lost its flexibility. We're seeing transverse and reflective cracking, and the cracks do extend into the road base. No rutting up there, so we're seeing, which means a well-drained road base in that area. So the goals realized, replacing that existing aged bituminous as well as spot curb replacement of some broken curb in that area. The existing conditions and goals realized with the full reconstruct project, a little bit more for this portion of the project. Replacement of the water main pipe, it's the original pipe from the 60s, cast iron, 4 to 6 inches in size. The new pipes will be increased to 6 to 8, which allows for increased capacity and fire flows in that area. The sanitary sewer main, it's also original pipe. It's actually older than the water main pipe, clay pipe still. And PUC, they regularly, about twice a year, have to jet and rod those pipes in your streets due to tree root and other issues. The new pipes will be PVC and new concrete manholes. For storm sewer in this portion of the project, we see flooding regularly at 2nd and Pine Street. The new storm sewer system will be extended to better drain all the areas up on Pacific Street and the end of that, as well as 2nd and Pine and other areas. And the new system will be designed for the 10-year rain event, which is consistent with engineering standards. The streets in this area, same issues as the reclamation area. This bituminous is old, it's lost its flexibility, cracks, transverse and reflective cracking. And with this project, we'll extend and connect the pedestrian routes in this area throughout the project area. And I just thought I'd summarize the sidewalk on this project. So the areas, the thickened gray lines are existing regional sidewalks and trails that are not included in this project, but you can kind of see them on the screen. The areas in blue are the existing sidewalk, which we'll be replacing. And the areas in red, dashed and solid are proposed extensions of the sidewalk. So basically the areas in red are where we'll be trying to fill in the gaps in the sidewalk to connect roads. The estimated project costs for this project, the two portions, we split them apart. The full reconstruct is estimated at just under $4.5 million, and the total reclamation project cost is just under $1.4 million, for a total of just over $5.8 million. This slide shows the breakdown between assessable costs, city costs, and PUC costs on the project. These are the three portions that are making up for the total cost. The assessable costs came in at just over 27% of the total cost at 1.6 million. The city cost on this project is 45% at 2.6 million, and the PUC shares of the cost is just above 27% at 1.6 million. The PUC, they pay for the sanitary and water mains, the pipes. This table breaks apart the assessable cost only of the project. The city assessment policy breaks apart for assessment categories. You see in the left-hand column, assessment groups. Those are the assessment categories: reclamation, street, sidewalk, sanitary service, water service, and storm sewer. And then we have the total project costs and the proposed rates in the very right-hand column, which are $23, just over $23 for reclamation. That's per accessible foot on your property. The street cost is $60 a foot per accessible foot. The sidewalk is $12 per accessible foot, and sanitary and water service are per each, and are $981 for sanitary service and $1,700 for water service. The storm sewer assessment rate is based upon the area of your lot. That is 19 cents per square foot. And these assessments are based on the current city assessment policies. Now, this slide just kind of shows an average size lot, the cost to it with this project. For the full reconstruct area, we looked at a 66 by 160 foot size lot, and the average assessment was just under $9,500. We looked at the average size lot on the reclamation portion of the project. There are some large lots in that project and some smaller ones. We looked at an average of a 125 foot wide lot, and that average assessment came out at just under $3,000. Start with questions.
Just one, is it the stormwater or the sewer paid for by water line? I thought so. One thing, council got any questions? I was just wondering, you want to go back to that slide again?
Which one?
Well, that one there, where it says sanitary service and water service, and you've got that assessment for sanitary and water. Is that the mains are covered by water and light, the PUC?
Yes.
That's just the services going up to the property line then?
Yes, your property line to the main.
To the main?
Yep.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to clarify that.
Sure.
So, because it was,
Question.
we say one thing, you know, well, water and light's paying this, but then it shows an assessment, so.
Yeah, so all the pipes work. The PUC, they pay for the mains, we call them. They're the main lines from manhole to manhole, gate valve to gate valve, hydrants. The resident share are from that main, the smaller pipe that goes to your house. So water is carried and sewer is carried from a smaller pipe to those mains, so it's broken out that way.
Okay. Any questions from the council as far as his explanation? I don't know if you've got any more, but to go, but, okay. Then we will open it up to the public. Is there anyone here that has questions, want to speak for clarification, or speak in favor or against? If you do, you can come up and state your name and.
Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
One thing, sorry about my voice. One thing, if anybody is going to connect up and have new water lines run from their home to the street, this would be the time to do it. Because otherwise, if you try to do it later, there's a $2,000 fee to open up the street?
We're taking it to
We're-
their side of the sidewalk.
Yeah, I know.
We're taking it to their
Okay,
property
okay.
line, so they won't have to open up the street.
Okay, good.
we're
Good.
not allowing that to happen,
Good,
so.
good. Okay,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Right, Mark Magnuson, 512 Second Street South. The sidewalk, I don't want it. My yard is literally 20 feet wide. For you guys to put in a sidewalk, you're gonna make my yard smaller, rip out 2 retaining walls, my steps, good chunk of my driveway, for a road that doesn't see any foot traffic hardly at all anyways. And who's gonna pay for me to replace all that? I mean, granted, it'll be an assessment, but I'm paying twice to replace something I already did the first time,
Okay,
so.
thank you.
That's all I got.
All right.
Hello, I'm Matt Larson from 418 Second Street South. And the question I had, based on what you said, Diane, is if I want to have my water lines replaced in the house, what do I need to do as a property owner? Do I need to get permits? Like what can I do to coordinate? Because I would like to have mine replaced during the street replacement. Like what does a homeowner have to do?
Go ahead, Chuck.
So as Diane said, it's very a good opportunity if you have an old pipe or a service pipe that you want to get replaced with this project. A lot of times people do that on projects like this. If you want to do that, send your name and info to Vicky or somebody at the city, and they'll get that to us, and we'll basically get a list. And then that when the contractor's in town, you know, building this project in the future, you could do that at that time.
Matt, I do know those pipes were put in when the house was built in 1937, so it'd be a good idea, yeah. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Go ahead.
Sean Olson from 200 Main Street South at Fredericks Tire and Oil. Got a few questions is, how long is this gonna take? It's gonna impede on our business, majorly taking out Second Street. Half of our shop goes in through that street. We're gonna lose parking. For how long? Trying to get delivery trucks in, drop products off. Second, too, we're being assessed for water and sewer on 3 buildings that are just warehouses. Will that come off? Because we don't have water or sewer going to them. And the sidewalk too we only got about 4 feet in front of that building, from the building to the curb, where we don't have any extra room, or it's gonna make it inconvenient for us as well.
Okay. The one thing I can say for that, Sean, is the reason why we were looking at doing Second Street now, or normally when Main Street project goes through, we were looking at 1 block each direction off of Main Street, redoing it then. And in your case, if we did that, it basically would close you down. So we want to do this project on the Second Street, so at least you have access off of Main, because when Main Street goes through, then we're trying to make this as easy as possible if we happen. But you do have a good point. I don't know work with the contractor as far as when they're gonna close it and how long it's gonna be.
Are we gonna be able to, are they gonna leave us some leeway so we can still try to get vehicles in and out?
With all our construction projects that we've done before, everybody's always had a chance to get to their property and get in their yard at the end of every night, or Chuck can probably answer it more.
So on all these projects, the contractor restores access to everybody's house and business at the end of each day. It's overnight. During the project, during utility trench excavation, there will be times where the access will be closed temporarily when they're digging a trench in the street. And we'll coordinate those times with you. A lot of times we work with each business, get to know your schedule, delivery schedules. We'll relay that to the contractor.
We got semis and delivery trucks coming in every day,
Okay.
and range from 11 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
So like on the 2018 project at the hospital, we had MRI trucks, they had food deliveries, they had other deliveries, and we got to know those schedules, and we met with them, and they worked with us, we worked with them to make all that work, so we do the same thing.
All right, and then all with the assessments for the water
So each lot, that's just kind of a starting point to get a water and sewer on each lot, because they can be sold and built on a future, they would need to connect. But we can work with city staff on that.
Just, yeah, if you, been in buildings, nobody's gonna, wants to elevate it up 4.5 feet, and the other ones, the other two are not, both of them are actually elevated at all.
Okay.
I don't think anybody had ever put
Right.
anything in it that they ever need a bathroom or.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I think that the city, the council and the engineers and that, we'd be able to work that out and figure out how we're gonna take care of that. And,
Well, just for that, the station, I understand, but the other 3 warehouses, that's
yeah,
$19,000 for warehouses that.
right. Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Dave Berg, 824 Second Street. Got a couple questions. Just wondering, on one of the slides, it was just a street reclaim on 824 Second Street? And no sewer, no water lines, no new sewer or water lines going in?
What's your question?
There are no new sewer or water lines going in on 824 or on Second Street?
On-
Second Street to which?
He's right on Second Street, between,
Right at the end of Maple.
yeah, right at the end of Maple, Walnut. So that'd be all new water and sewer going down Second Street,
Yep, all new water.
It's all new.
all new water and
I have
sewer.
the same case, I got roots in the easement part. where the
Right.
Property line, and I just want the clay out of there, the clay tile. So
Yeah.
that'd be a good time to get with the city for that.
Yep.
All right, excellent. I got a tree in the boulevard between the back of curb and the edge of the sidewalk, and I think it's like directly under my sewer line. Will that tree be removed at my cost, or the city cost, or just part of the construction?
Any tree removal due to utility replacement will be included in the street cost of the project, so the 35% of that will be assessed as it was put on the slide before, but that's the street cost portion.
Good deal, I want it gone anyway. So, my curb stop is in the neighbor's yard like 20 feet, so I don't know if that's a problem. You probably running across that all the time. So, but with that, my apron to my driveway, there's another apron 1.5 feet away from it, so there's a piece of curb, that high curb. Just wondering if the new construction on aprons in the street, if that can just be one great big apron, rather than trying to divide it with a little piece of curb. So, I can get with Vicky with that, or just? Sure. Okay. Other than that, that's all there is. I think it's long waiting construction for this, so I'm certainly for it.
Okay, thank you.
Richard Betlock, 511 Hickman Drive. Currently, there's a bill before Congress for infrastructure. Should that be passed and Sauk Center receive any of that money, would there be a credit back to the property owners?
That is totally, I haven't heard anything on, I know there's federal stuff going on, but as far as,
No, I
If
mean,
we're-
should it be passed? It hasn't been yet.
okay,
But that's my question. How
It
would
all
the
depends.
city council act on that?
I guess we'd have to handle it when it would come to us, because they might have stipulations that we can't claim any of it. It's all, they might leave it at strictly state level on infrastructure.
But if there is any possibility back to the property owner, would we then receive money? Or credit if you haven't paid it?
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I don't know unless Vicky knows. Okay,
So the legislation that they're talking about that potentially could pass has to do with street maintenance dollars, kind of like a state aid city or a city greater than 5,000 population would receive. And twice in the last 15 years, they actually appropriated some money that went to cities our size, and each of those times we received like $35,000. And that was to go to street maintenance. Now, this new this new bill, if it does pass, and if they do allocate some to the city, they usually base it on population and road miles. So depending on the size of the bill, we could receive some funding. Typically, they do restrict it to maintenance, so I don't know that they would allow us to use it for reconstruct, but that's something we would look at. If there's a potential for a credit, this isn't the final assessment. The final assessment doesn't happen until next fall, so when we actually have actual costs. So at that point, we would include any other revenues that we receive. But typically, on a reconstruct, and these kinds of dollars that come down for the legislation are strictly for maintenance. So.
Okay, go ahead.
Pat Engen, I live at 215 Willow Street, and I did call and I had some of my questions answered, but I just wanted my neighbors and myself, if we've just built a retaining wall, if we've redone the sewer and the water already, we're concerned about how much digging will still affect us, depending on how much they have to dig into, if we'll have to replace the sidewalk, for example.
You approximately, she wants to know whether or not how, she's got all new water and sewer services in out to the street, and she's got that, I think it's like granite retaining wall there on Willow Street.
Yep.
So she was just kind of wondering if that's going to get disturbed or.
We are aware that some homeowners have installed new sewer and water services already in the last 10 years. We have a list going right now. We're not sure if that's complete. There might be a few more out there. If you do have replaced it, please let us know, because then you won't get assessed for one that if it has been replaced. As far as the retaining wall, I'd have to review that exactly to see, based on the grading, something we could do and further in the design. So.
How about the sidewalk?
The sidewalk is proposed to be replaced.
No matter how good it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike Hession, 221 Maple Street. Just wondering about the boulevard, the trees on every boulevard. And if the sidewalks are gonna be widened, are they gonna stay the same width, and the street, is it gonna stay the same width as it is right now?
Where are you at?
221 Maple.
Maple.
So, all the streets currently, they're all existing different size widths right now, as you may be aware. Some are narrower, some are wider. And a lot of right now we're just preliminary designed, the layout of the streets, for center line alignment. That may change slightly. For Maple, we have a proposed 36-foot wide face-to-face, curb face to curb face wide road with sidewalk on both sides. I'm trying to remember what the existing width is on that one. I can look it up here quick. I know it's in here. So the existing width on Maple is the narrowest of the four streets and has a approximate width of 34 feet face to face. So that we would increase that width of approximately 1 foot from the curb. And I don't know what the boulevard width is between the curb and the sidewalks. I don't know what the sidewalk is, but we have a proposed 5 to 6 foot boulevard between the curb and the sidewalk. Well, unfortunately, a lot of them do end up getting removed due to service, the sewer and water service installation. If there are some that don't need to be replaced, we don't remove them, or some that don't have to be removed, they don't remove them, but it's on a case-by-case basis.
Does the city take care of that then?
Yeah.
We have an old elm tree, and I'm sure you can take all of it.
Okay.
Are we responsible for that, or the city?
No, all trees removed with the project are included in the street assessment, or street cost of the project.
The one thing about trees is it's kind of a catch-22 on those, because if you got a 3-foot diameter elm tree or whatever sitting there and you're trying to put in a new sewer or water main 10 feet down and that thing's right above you, it's not this, it's an OSHA safety standard. Those guys don't want that there. So it's kind of like we don't want to, but then if you cut so many roots, eventually it's going to die anyway. So, and then it all comes back to us again. So it's kind of like we don't want to, but just for safety reasons to get things replaced, sometimes it has no choice. So, go ahead.
I was wondering if you could throw that diagram back up there. I was trying, was Spruce Street, are you redoing Spruce Street as well on the west end? Off the west end of Cedar?
Spruce, yeah, I think we were.
Spruce, where the fertilizer plant is? Or a field?
Nope.
Yeah, it has the red dash line. I wasn't
The
sure
red
if that-
dash, yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, I have a couple of questions. So that was one question. I have a lot there in the corner of just a commercial lot, empty lot there. Greg McCoy, we have just that empty Unger's Furniture lot, the old Unger warehouse there. So I was curious, how much of that's going to be redone there. And then also, I thought you said something about the PUC covering the cost of the water main and the
In the sewer.
Is there is that just a portion that they're covering? Because I see line items on the assessment here still for water, storm sewer, and sanitary services.
That would be the services going into whatever lots there are.
Because right now, the lot, there is no water or sewer to the lot. We might just put a warehouse up there or something, so.
Okay.
So that was just one of the questions I had there was, whether those fees were.
And the red checkered is something that we hadn't really decided on, right, Chuck?
It's not, well,
We did, but we,
Okay.
So Spruce Street is only it's existing gravel street right now. We only proposed on looping the water main. There is no water main in that stretch right now. The sanitary main extends from Second up about 100 feet from Second into Spruce, and then there's a service that runs to Wayne Transports, but only improvements are water main looping in that stretch. We don't propose on any new services or any street improvements in that stretch currently.
okay.
I didn't hear timeline. Is this something planned for next year? Next summer? Okay.
Yeah.
And then as far as the assessments, is this, I'm not familiar how that works. Is that something you assess over like a 10-year period or a certain number of years or?
Yeah. That's been the standard, 10 years,
10 years,
spread
okay.
out over 10 years.
Okay. Okay, I mean, is there any, as far as the cost going up or down, like are these firm costs yet? I mean, my concern is something like this, you look at this, the assessment we have right now, but what's the potential for variance for this? Are we gonna get an assessment, the cost next year and find out that it's doubled or gone up by 50% or?
Right now, everything's preliminary. We haven't even decided if we're gonna do the project, where this is kind of just
Okay.
get our arms wrapped around it a little bit to see how big a scope we want. We have to decide whether or not, if we gotta borrow the money for it, how much that's gonna increase our levy and stuff like that. So this is really preliminary as far as deciding on what is gonna happen. But usually these figures are pretty close. They figure in inflation and stuff like that into it.
Okay.
So,
I was also curious on Cedar Street and that portion of Second Street, is there sidewalk going in there?
On Cedar, no.
Okay,
On Second, it's an option to extend
okay,
the sidewalk from Willow to the trail.
gotcha,
okay,
I think that's all I had.
okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Got a bunch.
Yeah, you probably could.
Yeah, you can.
I'm Mary Jernosik on 232 Willow Street. I'm just wondering, some of these questions have been answered already, but yeah, I had all my water and sewer replaced not long ago and had to redo the whole sidewalk and all that. So he's saying that it will be destroyed. I mean,
Well, the service and everything will stay the same. You know, if it's been replaced, we're not gonna redo it. But the sidewalk will more than
The
likely go
sidewalk, yeah.
basically because of the, but
'cause
then
if I
that,
would have known this, I wouldn't have probably done it. I mean, the sidewalk, it's like, some of us are single parents, widows.
mhm,
I mean, one income family, it's not easy.
yeah. I've talked to a few of you on the streets, so, yeah.
What is your address?
232 Willow.
Oops.
And then I was just curious why some assessments are different prices than others.
It's based on the amount of footage that you have, your lot footage, you know, your frontage on the road. Some people have 66 feet, some will have 125. Some are on corner lots. That all changes everything on the figures, so.
All right, thank you.
Mike, no, I live at 202 Walnut. 3 questions. One, you mentioned that Willow was 34 feet, or Maple was 34. What is Walnut? You have it off the top of your head?
No, but it's not.
Okay. I'm just curious as to how much, I'd lose in front. Also, you mentioned 10 years on the sewer service. I believe mine was replaced about 16 years ago, but it is PVC, so would that be good to go or not?
If it's is it PVC all the way to the main?
I believe so.
If it is, then it would be okay.
So as long as it's PVC, we're good to go no matter the age. So if it's
To the main.
16 years old, as long as it's PVC out to, okay.
Right.
And then I'm looking at redoing my garage and my driveway. I'm trying to get that done before you start work so that the right curbing goes in. Probably the footage would be, I'm assuming that since I live on a corner, the front of my house is on Walnut, which is 66 feet, and then I'm paying for an additional 16 because of my driveway. Assuming that that moves but doesn't change, the assessment wouldn't change at all. Just by a change in the curbs. You know what I mean?
You lost me.
The existing driveway is here. I want to move it here. I'm trying to reconfigure my garage. So all I'm doing is moving it. Shouldn't be adding any extra.
No, that won't change the assessment.
Okay.
Right.
And then, real quick, assuming the trees on the boulevard have to go, when do they start removal on that? This winter, this fall, next spring? Just out of curiosity.
No, it'll probably be just before they start the project, they'll go through and take them, so it won't be until probably next spring if we approve doing the project and stuff like that.
All right.
I think you had a question on, Walnut. So Walnut is currently 38 feet wide,
So it would be a little narrower.
a little narrower.
Marie George Miller. They did Oak Street a couple years ago, and they put in new sidewalk, and that was not even, I was not even consulted about that. Went all the way down to the park. So if you take sidewalk now, I think the sidewalk ends at the Hispanic church. Would the sidewalk extend all the way down? Are you thinking of taking it all the way down to Oak Street? Going down 2nd Street?
I think so. Yeah, it would, the way that shows, it'll be a direct sidewalk from Willow all the way up to Oak Street and past, up to Main Street. So yeah, you would have sidewalk on your 2nd Street side of your property.
Well, that takes out 2 big trees of mine.
Okay.
And so I have water and sewer that came in on Oak Street, so there's no assessment then coming down 2nd, right? Because I wouldn't have any.
What was your name again?
Marie George.
George, yeah.
She was on corner of Second and Oak.
She was on Oak, I remember. Do you know what number you are on your assessment?
124?
They'll speed me up a little bit. Then the numbers change. Yeah, so you currently, the 124, that's your address. Do you know what number assessment it is, number 14?
Under your phone there, there should be a number.
Because you have 14. So your current assessment for your 124 Oak Street has 0 assessment. Because both your services were off Oak. I think you had a storm assessment on Oak as well.
On Oak, all
as
that.
well as a street. So
So the sidewalk wouldn't be part of that then?
No. Nope,
As far as the assessment.
correct.
Because
So-
if she's on Oak, I think, isn't the sidewalk just a continuation on the opposite side of?
Yeah, your assessment side, on your corner lot, I think, is on Oak, which is why you're assessed for that project, and your assessment for this project will be nothing, or 0.
Okay. Not even for the sidewalk if they're,
Correct.
so is there any way that we can not put a sidewalk in there?
That's something the council's gonna have to decide whether or not what we really want
The
to do on
sidewalk is
that
on
as
both
far as
sides,
coming
is it?
sidewalks.
I know.
You
I think
know,
that's what her
I
question is.
understand that,
Never
but,
repeat it.
having hit and miss sidewalks on a street really doesn't, because.
Warren, can I clarify your question?
Sure.
So you're on Oak Street, correct?
Yep.
I'm on Oak Street.
And you're
Second.
asking about the sidewalk on Second Street?
Correct, that's the side of my house.
I think it's on the opposite side of your street. It's a continuation of the sidewalk that's on the opposite side of your road. What we're talking about is filling in the gaps of the sidewalk that's across the road from you.
I don't think so, because there
she's on
isn't
the
any
north side.
sidewalk there.
She's right there.
Oh, you're on the north side? Okay.
Correct.
My mistake, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So you're, correct me, but your corner house right there.
she's right.
Yes.
there.
My mistake, I apologize.
Yeah.
Yep, she's on the north side, so.
Okay. I was thinking the opposite side.
So is each individual person then, contacted about this? Or how do we go about with this project? If it does go forward, do we have any say in it at all about the sidewalk?
Basically, that's what this meeting is for,
Okay,
is to get your input. If it's decided to go through with it and put sidewalk in, then really there isn't anything, that's what we have public hearings for, is that everybody gets a chance to say their point. We deliberate on what we're gonna do, and we go from there. So,
thank you.
thank you.
Dan McDonald, 128 Willow Street. I just got a question with, where I live is an older house, and is there, like, when you put in the new sewer and water up to the property line, is there an associated cost that would be if I wanted it done all the way to the house right away? Or
That's where.
you have the same contractor do it at the same time or something?
That would be ideal. We connect you with a contractor, or you can get a contractor at the time, and they work together, and then they can put that
That
line.
would be separate, that wouldn't be something that. you
That wouldn't be
same
part of
contractor,
this.
You wouldn't just have an extra fee for that,
Right, you'd have an extra fee.
That is a,
You'd have to get your own contractor to do it?
that is a private cost from the right of way to your house. But we can certainly assist you in coordinating that work. you know, that's where, if you want your sewer replaced, you know, please send your name and number to Vicky, and we'll basically have a list ready for next year, and we'll present that to the contractor.
Okay, and the other thing would be, I have a small retaining wall and it's uneven. So if I would take that out, seeing it's beyond the sidewalk, would I have to pay to grade that out then or whatever? Would that be something to get done with the project or? Because my understanding is if you're gonna redo the sidewalk, if you have a retaining wall, mine's a small block one. Well, you'd have to, if you take the wall out, to put the sidewalk in and then put the wall back in. Or if the wall wasn't gonna be there, it'd be easier.
I'd have to look at it closely, but depending on where it is, we likely could just, you know, grade that, well, with our grading of our project and reseed that.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Doug Sharrow, 106 Willow Street. Are they leaving the Willow Street the same width, you know?
Sorry. Willow Street, let's look. Willow's, yep, 39 feet face to face, and we're proposing on 36, so it would narrow it up.
That's where the sidewalk would be moved out then, or?
The sidewalk can move in with the curb as well.
Okay, because I was gonna say, my road, my lot, you'd really have to dig a lot of dirt out to put a sidewalk in. That's what I was wondering what we're gonna do there, because I mean, you're talking 2 feet.
Are you,
He's on the end,
yeah, right along, like
just
right,
before you get to the trail.
right
off of
there?
Willow. Yep.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of hill there.
Yeah, there is, that's what I was wondering.
Likely have to maybe have a new retaining wall.
Okay, I was just wondering, because I thought, boy, you try to landscape all that, you'd have to go all the way to the house.
No, yeah.
And then, who do you contact? Like, I put new sewer and water in quite a few years ago, but it's all PVC and copper out to this 1-inch copper. Who do you get on this list? Who has the list?
Yep, send your name to Vicky, or
Yep.
you can email her, call her.
Yeah, I can call her sometime. No, I was just kind of wondering, because I thought too, I'd like to re-landscape the whole front yard, but that'd be a lot of money. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Doug.
Dave Eek, 724 Second Street South. First question is, are they going to move my curb further to the north then? They're going to widen that street in front of my house?
Second Street.
Second Street.
I think we were planning on shifting everything to the north, weren't we?
Not much.
Not yet?
No.
Okay.
Where's 724?
Right between,
Back this way towards-
Where?
There.
Right there?
right there.
So currently, Second Street is wider than 36. It's about, between Willow and Oak Street, it's about 39 feet face to face.
So you can move it,
We would move it in slightly.
like you're moving it in.
Yep.
And you're going to put a curb on, or a sidewalk in there too?
Sidewalk there too.
And I got a trailer right behind my house. So I was wondering, I'm not for the sidewalk. To me, let the people walk on the trail, it's right behind the house. If you put a sidewalk in front of my house, it's already bad enough. When they have the events in the park, it's great. But then you start getting people walking through your yard, parking in your driveway. It really, I mean, around your house, I end up in the morning waking up and have to pick up a lot of garbage. When people will come right from the park and walk right up through the streets. So I'd rather not follow people into my property. I'd rather have them just go down the trail. You know, we get a lot of stuff off the trail. That's my biggest concern. And like I said, I'm not for the sidewalk going in, because this is gonna be right outside my front door, especially if you move the sidewalk over. And then making it wider is gonna make people drive faster on that street. They're already fast enough on there. So,
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Can you, I need you to come up.
When you're coming down from Willow Street, and you're heading towards Hickman Drive.
Yep.
Okay, if you're coming on Park Road, you come to that stop sign, are they gonna make that hill a little less to the left, a little less of an incline? Because they're on top of you. If they're going 30 miles an hour, they're on top of you now. If you stop at that stop sign from Park Road.
We've actually been in discussion just this afternoon about what we were gonna do with that intersection with the police chief and that whole area, how we're gonna try to do some more traffic
I mean, you can
control.
stop and look, and by the time you start to go, they're coming already. Well,
Right.
There's
So-
gotta be something done with that incline there.
It's in discussion.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Vince.
John Arsenault, Second Street South. I guess I'm just saying I'm not in favor of that sidewalk at all. That's kind of why we bought there, so we want to take off in the wintertime. We don't have to worry about someone to come and move the snow. And like Dave said, there's a trail right behind the house, and we do have a lot of people, and if anything's over there that's beside public property.
Okay. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak? Last and final time, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor, against, or needs more clarification? Council have any comments? Okay, our public hearing is now closed. We will be discussing this later on in the agenda. Reports of presentation, Police Department. Brian?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Activity report for July 2021. Some of the numbers we had, we gave out 241 verbal warnings. We did 71 door checks. We did 177 foot patrols. We had 9 accidents. We had 15 medicals. We did 34 personal assist. We had 6 alarm calls. We did 16 welfare checks. We had 7 unwanted person calls. We had 14 driving complaints. We had 7 intoxicated person calls. We did 34 assists for other agencies. We did 8 assists for businesses. We had 14 suspicious vehicle calls, 41 citizen contacts that we made. We found 8 open doors. We had 21 matter of information calls. We gave out citations for 10 citations for no driver's license. We had 3 thefts and 2 damage to property calls. So we had a total case numbers of 767. We gave out 241 verbal warnings for a total of 1,008. Compare that to June, we were up on calls by 48, and we gave out 70 more warnings. And compare that to 2020, we were up 132 calls, and we only were up 8 for warnings. So we should be up with COVID restrictions being less. So we had the Stearns County, or Sinclair Lewis days, I should say. Big crowds probably that we've seen in a long time. Relatively few calls for the street dance and the fireworks. I think everything went really well. I saw no issues, and like I say, our calls were pretty minimal for as many people that were in town for that. And then with the Stearns County Fair, again, probably biggest numbers that we've seen for a long time, and but minimal calls again, so it turned out pretty well. So that's all I have.
I know you had a dog that got loose up at the fair.
Yeah.
And he was gone for 2.5 hours, but you guys tracked him down and found him. He's in my front yard.
Okay.
We
Oh, yeah.
united him back with his owner.
Yep.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate
Thank you,
that.
Brian.
Well, and Chief Fredericks, I just got to thank you guys. I know you had a busy weekend a couple weekends ago, and they do a lot of good work, you guys do. I know there was one that got some attention, and having been with them later on that evening, there were several others that people don't get a chance to hear about that. It's just really appreciated the work that the guys do in town, so thank you.
I appreciate that very much. We have, a good crew of guys and gals that work, and they're really dedicated to our department, and they deserve to hear words like that, so it is appreciated. It keeps them motivated to work.
Thanks.
So we appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works Monthly Report. Ben?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Excuse me. Over the past month, a few things that we've done. If you're familiar with County Road 112 that runs up by the Bear Trap and Center Sports, it's under a maintenance contract between the city and the county since it is a county road, but we maintain simple things like patching and plowing. We recently cleaned out the concrete culvert underneath the road by the Bear Trap. We did find that the culvert is pulling apart in a lot of areas. I spoke to the county about that, and they're putting this on their replacement list. Probably not going to happen this fall, but sometime next spring, you would see that road closed so they could replace that culvert that's failing. At the airport, we had some issues with the PAPI light system. That's to help pilots land on the runways. They weren't working for a couple days, but we were able to diagnose the issue and get it repaired. And then we also had a door issue on the AD building that got repaired. Splash pad, we did receive a second delivery of chemicals for the season and replaced a flow switch that was malfunctioning. Normally, we only fill the chemical tanks once in a season, so that shows that the splash pad is seeing an increase in use compared to other years. So far this season, the splash pad has been able to run every day with some mechanical issues being taken care of outside of normal operating hours, so it's always been up and running, which has been nice. Trees, part of that EAB grant, we're continuing to water those on a weekly basis. They're looking pretty good considering the drought conditions that we're in. Storm cleanup, we did have a number of trees go down in Sinclair Lewis Park, the campground and the boulevards a few weeks ago. We were able to get everything cleaned up and repaired from the storm. We did have one sidewalk that was lifted and broken from the tree tipping. The sidewalk was replaced and a little bit of the street was fixed there as well. The city of Melrose had a few people come and help the first 2 days after the storm, and I just want to thank them for their time and effort and being here to assist. That was a big help getting the trees off the streets so that we could clean it up after that. We do have a very large brush pile that is behind the shop now. It's likely going to be there for a couple of months until we either receive some significant rain to get things wet so we don't have to worry about any secondary fires when we light that, or it's going to be when the snow flies. So we'll just assess that and keep it pushed up as people keep bringing stuff in. I think the majority of the storm stuff has been brought in now. It just seems like the normal stuff that we would get on a regular basis is what's coming in now. We did do street sweeping where all the trees were down in the streets to clean up the debris from that. Our 1-ton truck needed new leaf springs on the rear axle. The existing ones were found to have a couple of cracks. This was repaired by our staff. Sidewalks, grinding is going on right now in the Birch Pine Street area that we had surveyed earlier in the year. They plan to wrap up all that work early next week. A couple weeks ago, we did grinding by the library, City Hall, and Sinclair Lewis Park, and that was to eliminate those trip hazards. The arena, we've had that rented out several weekends over the past month. Most have done a fair job of cleaning up after their event. However, on the July 24th rental, the front door was shattered with a rock. A new door has been ordered and the costs associated with this damage have been passed on to the renters. So they're getting invoiced for that stuff. And Anjo and East Street mill and overlays are set to begin tomorrow. They're going to start on Anjo Drive and then work their way over to East Street. Hopefully next week they're going to be laying down the bituminous. So that's kind of a wrap for the last month anyways. Any questions I can answer?
About how long do you think between Anjo and East timeline do they?
They're hoping to have everything paved by end of next week. So about a week they should have it all done.
Oh.
Ben, what are they doing up there by Casey's, the street? They got all that
It's all
equipment?
Center Point Energy gas line stuff that they're
Okay,
doing.
all right, thank you,
Yep.
and good job.
Thanks.
Ben, one question. I know for the storm, we opened up the compost area for all the brush and everything for even contractors and stuff like that we've shut that off now, right?
Right, we're just back to normal use. No
Back to
more-
normal residents in town only?
Yep, and nothing over 6 inches like it was before.
Okay.
6 inches in diameter.
All right, because I know with the storm, we were getting truckloads of stuff that wasn't even close to being city limits.
Yes, and we did have a few stumps sneaked in on us, but we're taking care of those, so.
Okay.
Tried to keep an eye out for that, and it was kept to a minimum.
So, pass the word.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
See, maybe I said it and you missed it, Ben. Did you, the hockey rink, everything all done with that? Done?
Oh, the outdoor rink?
Yeah.
The boards are all up and everything. The only thing we're doing now is putting up that outside fencing. So next week, we're gonna start on that project. The rest of the parts showed up this week, so we can get pounding those posts in and put the fence up to protect the parking area and then the figure skating area.
All right. All right.
Okay, thank you. Planning Commission report. Sarah?
Good evening. In your packet, you have a copy of the Planning Commission agenda, and we did have a public hearing for a variance for Lynn Franklin, and that is an action item later on your agenda. I had the June and July building permit reports, and then the quarterly report, and as of yesterday, the end of July, we were at the $4.04 million in total construction. Yesterday, we're at like 5.1. So it's been a good year. It's been busy.
Any questions?
Is the
concerns?
price of lumber coming down?
A little bit.
A little bit, thank you.
Little bit.
Thank you.
No questions? Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Sarah.
Thank you.
City engineer report. Keith?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The 2020 project, nothing really to report different than I've reported in the past. We're basically waiting until early September to review the seeding one last time. We get into our reseeding period after mid-September and seeing what needs to be done with the contractor, if there needs to be reseeding, those kinds of things. That'll be taken care of that time, and that's pretty much all that's left in there. Kind of pray for rain, that would be nice. A little more rain. The 2021, the Information Center project, Aerosmith Plat 3, that's going very well. We're nearing completion on that. Today, the little bits of curb and gutter were placed on the north side of the project. They're graded, ready for the sidewalk portion to go in. All the grading on the Lot 3, the southerly lot, is done and complete, and black dirt spread back on that one again. They're just finishing up the pad area and a little bit of grading on Lot 2, which is kind of the middle lot there. So that's pretty much all that's left. A little bit of storm sewer work to be done. The grading should probably be done the end of this week. A little bit of storms left. Doesn't sound like that would be a couple weeks out yet, but it's not in the way of the Lot 1 project, which is supposed to get started next week. Essentially Monday they're supposed to be in, and we're prepared for them to do that. So things are going well there. South Industrial Park project, that is later on your agenda. You have approval of plans and specifications for that. I'll be totally honest, they're not 100% complete. You've seen them, but they're probably 95+% complete at this point. Just a few little tweaks on those, and those will be done and ready to go. And we'll start on the permitting process and all that kind of stuff with that project. So that's where that one's at. Any questions you have for me?
Questions from the council? On the 2020 Elm Street project, on Elm Street, I had heard there was a couple curb issues up there. I don't know if you guys knew about it. They said it was like it's separated or the part of the top popped off or something. I don't know why.
I'm not aware of that. I'm not sure if Chuck's heard that, but we'll certainly be looking at all those things. So any last things, they will all get taken care of in the final punch list here. So we'll take a look, see if there's anything that needs to be done.
No, it would be on that last section that we did right off a lake. It'd be on the north end.
Yeah, on the north part.
Right
Yeah,
off.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll definitely be reviewing that. It'll all get fixed.
They said it was all chipped and everything, so I don't know how it would get chipped in the summertime.
It depends. Sometimes it depends on the mix and what time it was when they were pouring. If it was the last thing, it could have been a bad spot in that mix. So it happens periodically, but it'll definitely get
and I can meet with you after the meeting, or with Chuck. So,
Yep, we'll take care of it.
All right,
Anything else?
okay, thank you.
With the council's indulgence, if you don't mind, I'd like to switch the computers, get ready for the next presentation, if it doesn't bother you while Vicky's going
No,
through the.
that's fine.
Go ahead.
Action item 7A, approve resolution 2021-70 approving the vacation of Getty Street.
So as you just said, this action is subsequent to the public hearing held earlier on Getty Street. The proposed resolution, if adopted, will release the city's interest in the property located beyond 33 feet from the section line, which the section line is the center of Getty Street. After adoption, the city will record the resolution with the county. It'll be a matter of record and it will go with the land. So what we're looking for is to approve resolution 2021-70, vacating a portion of Getty Street.
Questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2021-70 vacating the portion of Getty Street?
Motion.
Motion by Joe.
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7B, approve resolution 2021-71 ordering improvement for 2022 street projects.
So this is because of the public hearing that you had on the 2022 projects. If you wish to proceed with the improvement of the project considered during the public hearing, you should adopt the attached resolution ordering the improvement. And any major modifications to the project should be outlined prior to adoption, but we will be going through a phase of finalizing those plans as we move along. This resolution does not adopt the assessment. It authorizes next steps. So the next steps would be if we would complete the plans, if you authorize this, and then they would come later on to approve the plans and authorize the bids. So between now and approving the plans, there'll be periods when the city engineer will come before us and we will make decisions, final decisions on sidewalks, final decisions on any modifications outside of what you have already discussed. Then sometime over the winter, we will advertise for bids and potentially open bids about March of 2022, and then award those bids for construction in the summer. Next September of 2022, that's when we'll actually have the final assessment adoption and then certify that, and it will start paying with property taxes in 2023. Someone had had the question about whether the assessments could double, and what happens is anytime during this process, the process can be halted. I would guess, or I would surmise, I think the only way they would double is if the project costs double. And so when we go out to bids, if they're double what we thought they were, it's very likely you wouldn't award those bids. And I've never seen where we have awarded something double of what we anticipated. So kind of give you a little bit of assurance in that way. So what this resolution does is orders the improvement of the 2022 street project to take the next steps and authorize the city engineer to complete the plans and bring them back for your approval. And that is resolution 2021-71.
Questions, comments? So if there's any major change, so we need to do that now, basically, right?
If there's something major that you want to take out or add to the project, but as he goes along, when we start talking about moving roads and fixing and how we're going to do parking, and those are all things that'll come before you at a later date. I just meant if you're going to have something drastic different, let him know now before he gets too far into it, so.
Okay. So, my opinion is anything on the east side of Highway 71, we just take out of the project. That one,
I
them
agree.
2 blocks.
I agree.
I mean, just.
For that Second Street?
Yeah, on Second Street. To me, there's no need to go on that side. We got Main Street project coming in.
Now, the one thing to consider there, and you can take either decision on that, is that is where a lot of our storm issues is going to be going that direction. That kind of takes care of some major storm sewer issues that we have. And the other thing is, and I thought about this later, was I did reach out to our bond counsel to see what the cost of money would be for this project. And our average net cost of interest on this project will be about 1.5%. So given the cost that the interest rates are very low right now, that might impact your decision to go ahead and do it now versus hold off till later. The cost of interest and the cost of materials and construction. So before you whack it off of there, just make sure to consider that. And I'm not saying that a few years down the line, the interest rates might be low as well. I just can't say for sure.
True. That's one thing, none of us have crystal balls to
Right.
figure that out, so.
I have a crystal ball.
Oh, you got a crystal ball.
Historically low, so
That's that.
not going to go much lower.
It's
That's that
dusty.
snow globe that she
Have it in one of the
she
drawers
doesn't
upstairs, Vicky.
touch, So, well, what's the council's choice? You move on to the next steps and then the final plans and stuff like that. We'll tweak them as we go. We want to proceed with ordering the project and
So as far as like some of the concerns raised with the sidewalk on Second Street, is that something we want to discuss now, or is that something we can just take out later, or just stick with it? I mean, I think that's a discussion point we should have, if that's, as
I
a
think
point
that's
raised by
one
the
of the-
public.
Personally, I think that we should leave it in and get some better numbers and go out for bids, because we can always take stuff out afterwards.
Okay.
The minute you start putting it in, then you got change orders and it costs more money.
Okay.
Like we said, this is, this can be stopped. All of a sudden, the bond money comes in or the final bids come to that point and it's way higher, we can call the whole thing off and stop it before it gets to that point. So, been in the situation a few times. It's never good, but, as far as making that decision, but go from there, I guess.
Yeah, I guess if at this point we move forward with the plans as proposed, and then, as we approve them, go out for bids, we can always look at those
Yeah.
things and evaluate more, since it's not a done deal. So I guess I'd make the motion to approve the order for improvements of the 2022 street project.
Okay, we got a motion from Joe. Do we have a second?
I'll make the motion a second.
Okay, a second by Shallon. More discussion?
I'll just add to what Joe said, though, with the sidewalk, that, I mean, especially on Second Street, I do hear what, the point that was being made with having the trail in the backyard, and I've been, I mean, as a person who's used some of the sidewalks up in that area, I guess, I get the point that was being made with having the trail in the backyard and not putting the sidewalk there. I think that, I don't think it would be a specific advantage to taking it out or leaving it in one way or another. I think that it,
Yeah, and that, and then we can discuss that when it
Right.
gets into design.
right,
Right now, I'm leaning at putting it in all the way, mainly because how do you get to the trail if you got, doing a hopscotch? You're walking sidewalk, then you're out in the street, and, and the reason why some of these people are probably cutting through yards and everything else is because they know where they want to go, but they're walking on somebody's property in the front because there's no sidewalk.
right.
I don't know.
Well,
I think people are going to walk through those yards regardless when they're coming from St. Clair Lewis Park, and they're coming across to their cars that are parked over there.
Right.
And that's
Regardless.
a discussion we can have at another time, but just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that as we proceed at this point, that it was something that was acknowledged, so.
Mayor, are you still in favor of eliminating the east side?
Let's just see what it looks like since the interest rate is so low,
Okay.
or the way it's looking like. Maybe it is a good thing to get rid of that, because if we do the project on the west side and then the storm waters go in that direction.
And there is no
And once
sewers down there.
Well,
on the other-
once you come along, and you seal up a road and put new tar down, you increase your water runoff.
Yeah,
So back to the sidewalk discussion, I could make that an agenda item at a future meeting. Now, and it would give you each an opportunity to go out there and kind of pay more attention to it in person.
Right.
And look at how the walking traffic is flowing as it comes off those side streets. And then you could maybe make a more informed decision at that time.
and I do think Second and Pine, I don't think there's any stormwater catch-all there. I mean, there's no drains.
On the other side.
No.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna fix.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7C, approve resolution 2021-72 declaring property excess and advertising for sale.
So Stearns County Attorney's Office has released to the city 2 vehicles that have been forfeited. The police department has requested that the city declare the property as excess and advertise or authorize advertisements for bids. It is a 2011 Buick Enclave and a 2010 Mercury Mariner. Upon approval, the vehicles will be advertised for sale through the State of Minnesota Department of Administration's online bidding platform. So what we're looking tonight is to approve Resolution 2021-73, declaring the property excess and authorizing advertisement for sale.
Questions, comments? Something that we've done before. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2021-73?
I'll make,
I'll second.
Motion by Shellen, second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7D, approve resolution 2021-73 approving lot split.
So application has been received from Norbert and Patricia Moritz for a minor subdivision of property. The Moritz property is at 1113 Beltline Road. The proposal is to split off a portion of their property and combine it with the adjacent property owned by Leroy Moritz at 1151 10th Street South. You do have a copy of the certificate of survey in your packet, and I also put an aerial view depicting the lot, which is in the white dashed line. That would be the subdivided part that will be added to the lot directly to the north. So what we're looking to do tonight is to approve Resolution 2021-73, approving this minor subdivision.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2021-73?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7E, approve resolution 2021-74 approving lot split.
We also have an application that was received from Roger Majeski on behalf of Brian Boyer for a minor subdivision. The Boyer property is 1162 Main Street South. The proposal is to split off a portion of this property and combine it with the adjacent property owned by Mr. Majeski at 1065 Getty Street. This one as well, you have a certificate of survey in your packet, and the property in question is identified as Tract A. And that property is also shown on the aerial view, and that will be attached to the property directly to the west of it. So we are looking for approval of resolution 2021-73, approving this minor subdivision.
It'd be 74, wouldn't it?
Is it 74? Okay.
It's misprinted on the sheet,
Okay.
so.
Got it, yeah.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2021-74?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Shellen. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7F, approve resolution 2021-75 approving lot split.
We have one more. An application has been received from Dave Eek on behalf of D&K Properties LLC for a minor subdivision. The property is located at 422 Lincoln Loop. The proposal is to split off a portion of the property and combine it with the adjacent property owned by David Eek. This one as well, you have a certificate of survey in your packet, as well as an aerial view depicting that triangle that's going to be split off and attached to the property to the west of it. So we're looking to approve resolution 2021-75, approving this lot split.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2021-75?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7G, approve resolution 2021-76 granting variance.
A request for variance from the minimum side yard setback for the construction of an accessory building was received from Lindsay Franklin at 814 Birch Street South. The request is to construct a 20 by 24 addition onto the back of his existing garage at 2.3 feet from the property line. The existing 20 by 26 garage was constructed at that setback previously, and the owner proposes to extend the garage to the rear of the lot, utilizing that same roof line. The Planning Commission, acting as the Board of Adjustment, conducted a public hearing on the proposal on August 10th and recommended its approval. So the action requested is to approve Resolution 2021-76, granting the variance to Lynn C. Franklin, and you will see in that resolution the findings and the conditions are outlined.
Questions? Concerns?
I guess the only question I had, and it's not a huge deal. In the diagram here, it's labeled a shed, and in the...
Yeah, it's basically a garage.
An accessory building is a shed, a garage, or anything accessory to the primary, so
Right. And they're using it as a, like they store vehicles in it?
it's a garage.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a garage, and it's already, the existing one there is already at that 2.3 off the property line. So
Right.
they're adding on
Yeah.
to it, so that's the reason why, but they still have to request the variance.
Right.
So,
Well, I walk by there all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
So. Any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-76?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Shellen,
I'll second.
second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7H, approve Resolution 2021-77, calling public hearing for certification of
Service
shelter.
accounts.
So each year, the city
Service
council reviews
charges.
outstanding invoices for utilities and service payments and has the option to certify these unpaid invoices for collection with property taxes. We have prepared a listing that will be provided to you prior to the public hearing. Prior to certification to property taxes, the owner of these properties are afforded the option of attending a public hearing on the proposal. We are recommending that October 6, 2021 be the date that we conduct this public hearing. And then we will get from the public utility any unpaid utility bills, and then items that we may have here would be like sidewalk repair, lawn mowing, snow plowing, or sidewalk snow removal, those types of things that we do over the course of the year and then bill to the owners. So we will recommend October 6, 2021 as that public hearing, and if you approve that, then we will be sending notices out to these property owners informing of that date.
Okay, questions, concerns?
I know at the very least, the first week of October is going to be bad for me. I don't know how many others are going to be here, so.
As far as I know, there's no problem with my schedule,
Yeah,
so,
I'll be here.
I should be here.
okay. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-77?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against.
I'll abstain from it just because I'm not going to be here that week. I don't know if that makes a difference.
Doesn't make any difference.
Okay, then I'll vote for it with you, but.
Okay, 7I, approve Resolution 2021-78, accepting bid for shelter/restroom.
Well, the City Council approved the plans and specifications for the construction of a new shelter and restroom at Sinclair Lewis Campground by Resolution 2021-34 on April 7th, 2021. Bids were advertised and accepted until August 2nd. They were opened on that date and then reviewed by the Park Board. Due to only receiving one bid, the board delayed making a recommendation until staff had an opportunity to sit down with the bidder to review the bid. We did review the bid with Arnzen, who was the one lone bidder, to confirm that the items bid were what we were expecting to be bid, and we also provided an additional detail to him at that time. The bid is over what we had available by approximately $75,000. We're estimating that we may be able to cut about $10,000 due to some changes, leaving a remaining overage of $65,000. So the City Council has two options. We can cancel the project, we can rebid in 2022, it could be higher or lower, or we could award the project and cover overage with additional revenues from future years. So we're sitting here trying to decide whether or not it's feasible to proceed with the project that did come in over bid, or if there's some things that we might be able to do to rebid at a future date to get more people to bid. So we brought this before you, I guess, to make that decision.
Okay. Questions? Comments?
Personally, I'm very uncomfortable with awarding it when we only have one bidder. I'd rather cancel it and put it out for bid next year. Maybe we'll get more bidders.
It's
That's
possible.
at $340 $9,000. Well, I could build an awful nice house for that. It's a lot of money for a restroom
Yep.
and a shelter. Yeah. So my recommendation would be to cancel it and rebid it next year. I mean, we need it, it's gonna be done, but
Yeah,
with only one bidder, I feel very uncomfortable awarding it.
right. One thing is the revenues at the campground for this year are gonna be way more than, because we're way ahead on bookings, right?
The revenues are up in the campground in the last couple of years since we've been online and doing those types of things, but, you know, if your recommendation is to cancel it and kind of go back to the drawing board, kind of review it a little more and see if we can get some more bids, as staff members, and I think Ben will agree with me, we're okay with that, because we have had some little heartburn over this as well. So that's kind of where we're at. We agree that it needs to be done. We are severely undersized for bathrooms and showers for the number of people that we run through that campground. However, as you know, as Diane says, one bid, it kind of makes you a little bit more comfortable. Maybe there's some things that we can do to entice additional bidders, whether it's to give additional detail or to have a meeting with all the contractors ahead of time to clarify everything that we're looking to have in the bid. There's probably some things that we can do to save money. And by doing so, that savings then would allow us to do some other things in the campground, maybe get the camper cabins in, do some sewer, some more lots, and some of that other electrical work that needs to be done. So there's not a shortage of work that needs to be done there. It's just what order do we do it in? And if this gets delayed a year, we've got plenty to do down there.
One question I've got also is the existing shelter, has it been inspected to be able to perform the way it's meant to be based on?
Part of the thing with the existing shelter is simply a size factor with how many square feet you need to have per camper. You
But
know,
what
that's-
I'm looking at is the structure, like the roof overhead, strong enough to take care of after all these years of being down there, you know, is an inspection, you know, because that might cause us to do it a little quicker than waiting another year. If that one has the ability to fail, you know, we just had a storm go through and drop trees on campers, and do we want to take that chance pushing it a year? I can live with it either way. It's just, I don't want to be playing Russian roulette with the weather.
And we could
with
bring in a
something that-
structural engineer and have them inspect it, that, you know, for what, I know like there's some blocks, you know, they do the cracking down the blocks and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But,
So
and we could have it
you know,
inspected.
I think having it inspected and find out if we can afford to, another meeting isn't going to stop us from.
Right. Yeah.
So we could
going
table
out.
this as an
Yeah.
alternative
We could,
to
yeah.
denying it or
Okay.
approving it.
So general consensus to table it
I'm okay
until
with
the
that,
next,
yeah.
until we get that report. Okay. Approve 7J, approve resolution 2021-79, accepting bid for ice resurfacer.
So in 2020, the city council authorized the purchase of a new ice resurfacer for the Civic Arena. When the item was purchased, there were issues with emission standards and the city did not take delivery of it. So that 2020 purchase did not happen. In 2021, we again sought bids for the replacement, and we received two, a 2007 Olympia with 4,200 hours and a 2010 Olympia with 3,000 hours. They are varying in price from $39,560 to $58,102, but they're not really apples to apples based on what we're going to get. So I think I'll have Ben, if you're still here, come up and kind of explain to you what the difference are between these two machines before you make a decision.
One minor correction, the 2007 is actually a Zamboni model, not Olympia.
Okay.
A few things. So if you're comparing the CTM Services quote to the Arena Warehouse quote, CTM Services is actually a certified Olympia dealer, so they've been doing this for a number of years. They actually service our current Olympia. We have them up every year, make sure the emissions test meets standards that it needs to meet, goes through the conditioner, those types of things. So he is very well versed in these machines and would fully go through this whole machine. He wants to replace all the hydraulic hoses. He wants to fix paint issues on the frame, fix issues around the battery where the paint was corroding off. He wants to pull the conditioner. He's pricing a galvanized conditioner, a brand new one, versus having it powder coated, the existing one. So there's a few things that he's really going very deep into and that he's very experienced in this area. Nothing bad about Arena Warehouse in any way. They are more of just like a used dealer. They bring in used machines. They have a shop that they work with. They run them through that shop, and then they resell them and ship them out. So I did get a chance to look at both of these machines and review both machines. We do have an Olympia now. It works really well. We're very familiar with that brand and that type of machine and how it operates. The Olympia that we quoted is actually, I think, 1,200 hours less hours on the machine itself, which is a considerable amount of time. I mean, that's got 30% less hours than the Zamboni that was quoted. So my personal opinion is that I think the Olympia is going to be a lot better machine coming out the door to our facility compared to when the Zamboni arrives. The Zamboni was a little bit more beat up, had some more issues that needed to be addressed, and that Olympia was really, really clean. I mean, there was only one minor crack on the front hood of the machine. It's not even a crack, it's just a stress crack in the paint. It's not a crack in the structure in any way, but that Zamboni had some other more concerning things, I guess, that I saw compared to what that Olympia has. So that Olympia is very clean. I got to see it before he's actually even done any work to it, so it's not like there was a chance for him to hide anything. I got to see the good and the bad and all that stuff, and I think that would be probably the best fit for our facility, but I do understand that it's more money than the Zamboni. There's not a lot of these machines out there, and they're kind of hard to come by, and finding a 10-year-old one with 3,000 hours is kind of that sweet spot that we were hoping for. It's tough to come by them, but we did, we found this one, and I think that would be a good machine for us for a number of years. Then we can take the existing Olympia that's up at the arena, bring that down to the outdoor rink, and sell that Tenant that we have. I think that's about 60 years old now, and that would also provide us with a very good backup machine if we would have an issue at the arena, where right now that Tenant would not be a machine that we'd want to bring up to any sort of practice game or tournament at the arena if we would have issues now. So I would, I guess, provide a little more comfort knowing that we have an option if something happens. We can get something up there right away and keep things moving up there.
What kind of warranty is he giving us with it, or isn't there any?
So there's no written warranty, right? Used machine is sold as is, but Chris is very good to work with, and he's always been very fair about taking care of issues if we have an issue, within the 1 year period. I mean, I won't speak for him necessarily. I could say that if the motor would go, there's no way he'd be able to cover that with the price that we're paying for a used machine, but he's replacing all the hydraulic hoses. If we have a hydraulic issue, I guarantee I call him, he'll come up and take care of it. He wants us to be happy, and he wants to continue to service our equipment going into the future and everything. So he wants us to be well taken care of, and he's very good to work with and willing to do that type of stuff.
Ben, how many hours do these Zambonis usually last?
Ours up at the arena is a 1984. It has about 7,500 hours on it.
Oh, okay.
And the conditioner has been fully replaced once already, and it's reaching that point where it needs it again.
Thank
the
you.
motor's getting a little tired and stuff on it.
How many hours do you usually put on in a season?
I'd say we average, 300 to 400.
Okay.
So this 2010 should last us a considerably long time.
Is there a lot of money that goes into maintenance from year to year?
I mean, on average, probably $1,000 to $1,500 is an average maintenance year, with not including any blade sharpening. You have a few $100s into blade sharpening, but just machine-wise, I'd say $1,000 to $1,500 is a safe number.
Sure. And then something else I was curious about was how do these two numbers compare to what was actually budgeted? I didn't see that.
Well, last year we kind of dove into this when we were getting into the budget season, so we didn't necessarily have it budgeted a certain number last year. So we started looking at the price of new machines compared to used machines. The new machines are a sticker shock of about $175,000, so we knew we weren't going to go that route. So then we just started to look at the used market and see what was available and if we could make it work with the funds that we had in the arena budget.
Got it.
So.
Any other questions? What's the council's wishes?
I look at the numbers and it's a big difference, 18.6 between the two, as far as the pricing and everything, but I think based on the lower hours And knowing the brand, and, you know, yes, it's higher, but sometimes going the lowest cost ends up lowest price ends up costing you a lot more in the long run for some of those maintenance and other those things. So I guess I'd follow recommendation of staff and think we go with the 2010.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-79 going with CTM Services with the 2010 Olympia. Do I have a second? Chair will second it. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
None. I am. I'm opposed.
Okay. Motion carries 3 in favor, 1 against. 7K, approve resolution 2021-81 approving plans Sauk Industrial Park. Get it out, yeah.
Get it out eventually, right? I know you're excited about this project as I am, so I thought we'd go through all 36 plan sheets in real detail tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to go through just a few of them here, just kind of make sure you understand kind of the big picture of the whole project. It's a large project, so hopefully you can see everything well in here, but just wanted to kind of show you the overall project, just so you know, our project is bounded by this area here, as well as this is actually a separate project, but included with this is that south end storm sewer project, which takes our water that we've always had issues over here on 71 and routes this water across down in this wetland. Ultimately, it ends up down into this pond and discharges into the creek that flows through here. These are our lots. We've got one large lot that's over here with actually 2 building pads here and here. We've got a smaller one up here, one over here on both sides of this wetland. This is a wetland area. One fairly large lot that's in this location, and then kind of a triangle lot that has a reasonable size building pad down here as well. And this portion would be actually be an outlot, so this would be remain with the city with this pond through here. Okay. This is what is Street A now, which is now called what is this street called again, Vicki? This is the East-West Street. This is not Assembly Avenue. That's right. This is now Assembly Avenue is the proposed street name for this. Just wanted to kind of show this is where we actually have a lift station down through here. So everything from the industrial park, as well as we can provide service to the land to the west, as well as all the way up the land to the north and sort of that whole triangle area that's sort of south of 94. Now that's not necessarily going to happen at the moment. And in fact, with our plan, we don't have the lift station capacity to be able to take that, but what we are installing is stubs. There's a stub that goes to the north that would continue on to the north, as well as a stub that goes out to the west to provide for those future flows. The lift station will be designed to carry the flows that we anticipate in the next 20 years. At that point in time, when there's larger developments around this, that would either have to be reconstructed with larger pumps in it, or potentially removed, and with the continuation, if I go maybe back, try to go back, there is the potential we've looked at to come down this way with a gravity sewer, and actually the lift station might be way down over here potentially. But that's some years down the road, and we have flexibility built into the plan to be able to accommodate a couple of different options for that. Okay, so that's kind of the purpose of showing how this is going to work. This just shows the sanitary sewer, of which would be this road, which is the northwest road that actually ends up connecting, north-south road, connects into the truck stop over here. That is, that's called, what is that called? Progress Place. Progress Place is the name proposed for that one now. So sewer and water comes up and be able to service through this. We only have a stub over here to provide for this lot, and there'll be another stub off of, I think I have another sheet for that, for the other lot within that large lot in the southeast corner. Okay, this shows kind of where that lift station is again, through here. This is a stub that comes across to pick up this lot that's over here, so that flows into the lift station over here. We do have a water main that goes around to loop the system through. And then we're kind of back to here. Once again, there is a sanitary stub that comes, there's an existing sanitary over here. We're connecting onto it, running a segment that comes to about here. This would provide the service for this portion of that lot. The lift station, currently, the force main comes down and discharges into that new manhole that's proposed in through there. So, in real quick fashion, this is what's being proposed. This is a 48-inch storm sewer that runs down through here and discharges in here. There's fairly large storm sewer that comes, the discharge comes down and ultimately into the pond, and then across. This will be a berm through here to separate the pond from the wetland and the drainage ditch, and there'll be a fairly large pipe that goes through there. There's a fair amount of flow that comes through this area. There's also a large right here underneath the roadway into this lot. This is a large, it's actually an 8-foot by 4-foot box culvert to take that existing flow that comes through here. So there's a fair amount, it's like nearly 300 CFS that comes through this drainage. So it's a fairly large area when there's large flows. And I'm talking 100-year kind of rainfall events. So that's kind of the big picture overall. I didn't want to bore you with tons of detail on it. I think you've been provided that plan, and I'm sure that was wonderful nighttime reading for you. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them. Otherwise, we'd be looking for authorization, approval of the plans and authorization to bid for the project.
Questions? Concerns? Now, the holding pond has got a control basis, so not all that water. That holds it and controls the amount of flow that's going to go down that waterway underneath 28 and heading south, right?
Ultimately, there would be a decrease in the peak flows with this project versus what's there now. So it would be an improvement, for those who have said, there's a lot of water that flows through here, and there's been some tiling and everything that's been occurring out there. This will actually reduce the flows that come through there, and not to mention the improvements on this side on 71, because almost everything I have a small, there's the actual discharge from this pond by the truck stop comes right across. You can kind of see this pipe here. We would still have that pipe, and I'd keep a small pipe. We're basically going to brick it up. We're going to have an 8-inch pipe is the only discharge that's going to continue to go that way. And the reason for that is that these ponds currently all flow from north to south, so I can't get all the way here, so there's some water just to drain them empty that still has to go the other direction, but we'll be reducing that to real small. So what'll happen is these ponds will start to fill up a bit, and they'll backflow through here and then go back through here. Now, it's not a substantial amount, so don't think about lots of water before they start backing up, but it'll be a little bit before it starts going the other direction, and then they will drain dry again.
Okay. Any other questions? Concerns? Do I have a motion to approve the resolution 2021
I'll make the motion.
-81?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Joel. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7L, approve resolution 2021-82 authorizing execution of easement.
This is a new item that I had added to your agenda. The development of Aerosmith Plat 3, which is the Info Center property. We anticipated the relocation of the fiber lines from CenturyLink. This is a big fiber line that connects Little Falls and Alexandria and Glenwood and Sauk Center, so it's a very significant line that goes through there. They kind of pushed back on relocating it because they had a prior permit, and there was a permit issued for the conduit in 1955, And when MinDOT opened the property, but it doesn't, the actual location where it actually physically isn't actually where it's shown on the map. And so we were trying to work our way through that. Because this is a large line, we talked about it and we decided it may be best just to leave it in place, and we'll grant an easement for it with where the actual location is. So we actually have an easement where it's actually located and have that depicted. That way we'll avoid any future issues. This would require an additional 18 feet of easement along the east side of Getty on Lot 3. So this would actually line up perfectly with the easement for the water line that's on Lot 2 to the north. And you do have a copy of the certificate in your file to kind of show that. That is that hashtag number. The 10 feet on the edge of the lot is the easement that we already have. We would extend it another 18 feet. And so then that would take care of that fiber line. And then our easement on Getty Street would be the same on Lot 2 and on Lot 3. One for the water line and one for the fiber line. So what we're looking at here tonight is just to approve Resolution 2021-82, authorizing us to execute this easement and get it recorded on that lot.
Questions? Concerns? Do I have a
And one
motion?
thing, I have been in touch with the buyer of that property to tell them that this was occurring, and the setback is 30 feet, so this is all within that setback area, so they couldn't build there anyway, and it won't impede them from doing their landscaping and things that they need to do, so
Okay.
they're okay with that.
Good. Any other questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2021-82?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Shallen. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. We have no unfinished business, which brings us to new business, set budget workshop meeting.
So we have to certify our final budget by the end of September, so typically we would certify it the second meeting in September. So somewhere between now and that second meeting, we should have our city council workshop to go over the budget. Right now, all the department heads have been given budget worksheets to get them back to us. And then, of course, we'll go through that with the finance committee. And an additional thing that will occur in that time frame is the operations committee will meet and discuss the timing of any major purchases that are being proposed in the budget. So we've got, and we'll set up an operations committee meeting and a finance committee meeting outside of this meeting, but we do need to set that budget workshop in September. We could do it the second Wednesday. We could do it ahead of the first meeting in September. You know, we can do it a couple different ways. I mean, I'm going to leave it up to you and be pretty flexible with that date.
So we'll be adopting it on the 15th.
We'll be adopting it on the 15th. So you have
So
a meeting on the 1st. We could have the workshop the next Wednesday. I think last year we had it on a Thursday, so there's no specific timeline that it has to happen.
What's the council think?
My phone died. I can't look at a calendar. Your schedule doesn't help me.
Your schedule doesn't have, your schedule's not on my phone, I know, but it gives you the dates.
Yeah.
I'd be leaning toward the 9th, that Thursday.
September 9th.
Yeah,
What time, chief?
5 o'clock.
Okay.
And if we have to change it or something like that, of course, you're going to be.
No, September is fine.
Oh,
October's
okay.
what I have
October's
an
the one
issue
we're
with, yeah.
talking about. Okay. How about you, Joe? Is it,
I believe that should work.
okay?
So
September-
Thursday, the 9th at 5 o'clock?
Yeah,
Okay. And I'll be in touch with the finance and the operations committee to set up meetings with them, the same.
okey-doke. That then brings us to our consent agenda. We have schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $283,433.80. Paid claims of $12,322.32 for a total of $295,756.12. We have July checks, paid claims / payroll of $603,974.31. We have resolution number 2021-80, accepting contributions 3 of them from Minnesota National Bank for $276 apiece to be allocated to the police department, the ambulance department, and the fire department. And we have 3 other contributions from Michael and Nancy No to be 3 of them for $100 apiece to be allocated to the police department, the ambulance department, and the fire department. And on behalf of the council and the rest of the city, we want to acknowledge those people for their contributions and thank them. Is there any other questions about the consent calendar? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Shallon, second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. We have no informational items. That now brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.